Hello, this is Attorney Brian Pendergraft with the Pendergraft Firm LLC, and I'm a Maryland attorney. And a lot of what I do is I go to court. That's what I do, but I haven't been going to court lately, and this is why. Because due to COVID-19, the Maryland courts are they're operating under, I guess, what restricted operations essentially. And what this restricted operations, what it actually means in effect is that the courts, they are closed to the public, and they are only going to be hearing certain matters. So that is restricted operations in a nutshell. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But nevertheless, I have the order pulled up in front of us because this describes exactly what what restricted operations means and like how they are going about achieving that. So there are certain things here that I think are important that I really wanted to highlight, but to go over but to give you the quick nutshell version, in case you don't want to watch too long, is that a lot of what I do is unfortunately it's not an emergency, or at least not considered an emergency under this order. So I do a lot of landlord-tenant cases and a lot of tax lien foreclosure cases. And I know there's a lot of landlords and a lot of tenants out here struggling right now. And I do a lot of tax lien foreclosure cases as well. But unfortunately, under these emergency operations, the Pendergraft firm is out of business. I'm not going to be in court anytime soon. But they are going to be hearing things that they deem emergencies, such as, I don't know, say domestic violence hearings or peace order hearings where people are, I guess, hurting each other. And it's more clearly there is, like, let's say, a victim of physical violence, people hurting each other. So essentially, those sorts of cases are still going to be heard. And here is the order that I have pulled up in front of you. So I kind of want to, again, I want to make this video quick. So I want to jump to the parts that I think are, I guess, important and to help further describe what these restricted operations means and what they're going by. So let's see. Let's see. So this order was passed on April 14th, 2020, and it is going to, let's see. And how long does this last? So these restricted operations, they last until June 5th, 2020. Now, so this order, what it does is it actually replaces the prior order that restricted courts operations until May 1st. Now, I predicted, using my great psychic wisdom powers, that May 1st wasn't long enough. What they're going to do is they're going to actually extend this further. And it turns out I was right. It's been extended to June 5th, 2020, essentially. So what that means is that these restricted operations are going to be going down until June 5th. So again, it's not like I'm going to be out here doing too much litigation work right now, unfortunately. Let's see. So they can still it's part B here. What this is saying is that the order does not affect or prohibit the court's consideration of matters that can be addressed without a proceeding. So the courts, they're still doing work, right? So they're still pushing cases forward that don't require a hearing. They're still they're still doing that work. But essentially, but if there is a I guess hearing or they're essentially allowed this. They're still able to do remote proceedings using communication platforms. So they're going to be doing that as well, particularly for emergency matters, which I'm going to go down to. I can jump to that and show you what these emergency matters are. So this is going to be, now again, these emergency matters, they can be heard in person or they can be heard remotely. So the Court of Appeals has A, B, C, and D here. So they're still allowed to listen to election law matters, petitions, writ of mandamus, certified questions of law, quarantine and isolation matters, essentially. So that's what the Court of Appeals is going to be hearing. The Court of Special Appeals is going to be hearing, again, these are the emergencies that the Court of Special Appeals are going to be hearing. I'm not going to read everything out, but the circuit court, so they're allowed to do certain hearings as well. But again, you'll see that general what I'm going to call it, just regular civil actions, right? Just a regular civil, hey, I want to sue somebody that has wronged me. That type of stuff is not being heard right now. What's being heard are these sorts of bail review cases or juvenile detention hearings, extradition cases, body attachment cases, extreme risk protective order appeals, what bail reviews, emergency evaluation petitions, body attachments, quarantine and isolation violations. So these are matters that essentially involve people. Don't I want to say people getting arrested. Is that a good way to put it? But they're serious. They're more, I guess, serious in nature matter. It's not like there's just money at stake. Here there are criminal matters at stake. There's body attachments. There are domestic violence, extreme peace orders, just bail bonds, bench warrants, people getting arrested, people harming each other. That type of stuff is still being heard. But as far as, again, what I do, that is not being heard. But again, what I do being like landlord-tenant stuff. So let's scroll further down to see if there's anything else important here. So why do I have peace? Oh, you know what? I have peace orders highlighted here because I guess that is something that I do, at least in a landlord-tenant context. So there's lots of landlord-tenant cases where sometimes a landlord or a tenant may file a peace order against somebody, and next thing you know, I'm in court, representing a landlord for in a peace order case. So I guess I can still do that. So yeah, so if you need help with a peace order case, man, just hit me up. I guess I need the work. Let's see. All right. So, yes. Okay. So all other matters scheduled to be heard beginning March 16th, 2020 through the end of the COVID-19 emergency are hereby postponed or suspended. So if your case was so if you had a hearing date, essentially, that was coming up, that case, it has been postponed, it's been suspended, and you're going to be sent a new court date, essentially, one day. So that is what is going on here. All right, let's go further down here. All right, so this part I found pretty important here that I highlighted here. So starting with this is Q. So what this is saying is that the Maryland Electronic Courts MDEC continue to be available for electronic filings and is required to be used in all MDEC counties. So if you have a electronic, the MDEC counties, cases where I guess attorneys where we're doing electronic filings, essentially, I don't know, let's say Baltimore County, for example, they can still, even under this restricted operations, they can still file cases. And in Baltimore, and moving on to this is when they talk about the non-MDEC counties, i.e. Baltimore City, Montgomery County, and Prince George's County, were the only places that I tend to practice, actually. So what they're doing here is that, again, we don't file online in those counties. What we do is we generally have to file in person or file by mail or something. But what they're doing is they are making a virtual dropbox available for filings during the COVID-19 emergency period. So you can still file cases. You just you can do them via, you're not going inside the courthouse to file. You can use the dropbox, essentially, or you can use I guess other like mail or something, essentially, the other way. So in the three non-MDEC counties, court may determine process to handle only the emergency matters listed in IJK. So essentially in the non-MDEC counties, so the court may they may not even process, even when we file our cases, they may just decide not to process them, essentially. So let's say you file a failure to prevent case, they just may say, yeah, we're not processing this. We're not dealing with this right now. We'll deal with it later, which is essentially that's kind of what I suspect is going to happen. Actually, I think that they're going to get around to anything that's not emergency. They'll just essentially get around to it later. But all right. So anything else I found important here? Yes. You know what? I actually disagreed with this decision here, but so essentially there was let me read it first, actually. The administrative order on emergency tolling or suspension of statutes of limitation and statutory and rules deadlines related to the initiation of matters and certain statutory and rules and deadlines is in pending matters filed on April 3rd, 2020 shall be and hereby is rescinded. All right. So there was an order that was passed on April 3rd, 2020 that said, you know what, because we're going through this whole COVID-19 thing, and people can't file their cases, what we're going to do is we're going to extend the statute of limitation dates in case, someone's case expired during someone reached their deadline during this period, they were unable to file, then that's it. They've lost their claim essentially. So what that order did was it extended the statute of limitations so that people could not lose their claims during this state of emergency. So what this order does, it repeals that order. Oh, my phone's ringing. Let me cut this off. All right. So what this order does is essentially it rescinds that previous order, but I get it's rescinding it because it looks to me like essentially they're saying that we don't need to that order is not necessary anymore because people can still file their cases. They have drop boxes that they can use. And people should be using the Dropbox. I mean, I disagree with that decision. I still think that they should have kept the extension of the statute of limitations. I think that would have been. I still think that was a great idea, but I guess the courts, they don't see it as necessary anymore. So, all right. So if you do have a statute of limitations coming up, like I do have, like for some of my tax lien foreclosure cases that need to be filed by, I want to say May 14th of next month, from like 2018 tax lien cases, right? If you don't file them within 2 years, they expire. But and I was hoping that I could just file them later, but I'm going to have to go ahead and get those in because, I don't want to lose my claim. So even though I don't even think they're going to process them, nevertheless, I'm going to get it in. So, and that is it. So that is what I wanted to go through about this, restricted operations. Hopefully you guys understand how they work better. And I'm going to have a link to this, restricted operations order yourself, so you can review it yourself if you would like to. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care.